Hi guys, this is me, Vishnuram. Before getting into the lesson, I just want to tell you something. Once, there was a kid, and I asked a kid which superhero he likes, and he said Iron Man. I said, why you like Iron Man? And he said, because Iron Man can fly. Okay, so people are fascinated about flying from ages. Maybe you know what? That's why maybe I made this plane. Since the earliest times, human beings have dreamt about conquering the skies. And here we have a story about a young seagull. Seagull? You must have a doubt. What is a seagull? Here we have a picture of a seagull. Oh my god, this is frightening. Oh my god. Anyway, seagull is a cute bird. Oh. Coming to the story, there was a young seagull who was afraid of flying, even though he had fully developed wings. Some people are afraid. Some people have phobias. You know what? I'm afraid of snakes and dogs. Some people are afraid of tall buildings, heights. Some people are afraid of darkness. His first flight. The story is written by Liam O'Flaherty. Liam O'Flaherty is an Irish novelist. He's known as a novelist, a short story writer, and one of the most important socialist writers in 20th century. The story is about the young seagull's fear of flying and how he tackled it or how he conquered the fear. Let's go to the chapter, his first flight. The young seagull was alone on his sledge. His two brothers and his sister had already flown away the day before. He had been afraid to fly with them. Somehow, when he had taken a little run forward to the brink of the ledge and attempted to flap his wings, he became afraid. The great expanse of sea stretched down beneath, and it was such a long way down, miles down. He felt certain that his wings would never support him. So he bent his head and ran away back to the little hole under the ledge where he slept at night. Even when each of his brothers and his little sister, whose wings were far shorter than his own, ran to the brink, flapped their wings and flew away, he failed to muster up courage to take that plunge which appeared to him so desperate. His father and mother had come around, calling to him shrilly, upbraiding him, threatening to let him starve on the ledge unless he flew away. But for the life of him, he could not move. So we have seen a family of seagulls. A father seagull, mother seagull, and their 4 children. The youngest one among them is afraid to fly. He is having better wings, better developed, fully developed maybe, and strong wings when we compare to other siblings. Even though he couldn't muster up the courage to fly. And he is alone in that ledge where everyone used to live, and everyone they flew away. And they are calling him. First they called him, then they scolded him. At last they tried to threaten him. If you stay there alone, you won't get any food, at last you will die. They tried to threaten him so that he could try. So once he is trying to look downwards, he goes to the brink of the ledge and then he looks downwards and he sees that, oh my god, vast expanse of sea, I can't. So he comes back and he hid himself inside the place where he used to sleep. That was 24 hours ago. Since then nobody had come near him. The day before, all day long, he had watched his parents flying about with his brothers and sister, perfecting them in the art of flight, teaching them how to skim the waves and how to dive for fish. He had in fact seen his older brother catch his first herring and devour it. standing on a rock while his parents circled around raising a proud cackle. And all the morning, the whole family had walked aboard on a big plateau midway down the opposite cliff, taunting him with his cowardice. It's been 24 hours since everyone on that ledge left him. And now the little seagull is all alone. He could see his parents training and teaching the art of flying to his siblings. So they were perfecting the style and art of flying. They were teaching him, parents were teaching all those siblings how to skim the waves and how to catch the fish. And he, the little seagull, once he saw his brother, he caught a herring. Herring is a kind of fish. And that was his first catch. So whatever is happening, it was happening in front of the little seagull's eyes. And all the morning, the whole family was walking on a plateau on the opposite side of the cliff where the little seagull is sitting. And they were taunting him. They were making fun of him. They were provoking him because he was not showing his courage to fly. The sun was now ascending the sky, blazing on his ledge that faced the south. He felt the heat because he had not eaten since the previous nightfall. He stepped slowly out to the brink of the ledge, and standing on one leg with the other leg hidden under his wing, he closed one eye, then the other, and pretended to be falling asleep. Still, they took no notice of him. He saw his two brothers and his sister lying on the plateau, tossing with their heads sunk into their necks. His father was preening the feathers on his white back. Only his mother was looking at him. She was standing on a little high hump on the plateau, her white breast thrust forward. Now and again, she tore at a piece of fish that lay at her feet and then scraped each side of her beak on the rock. The sight of food maddened him. How he loved to tear food that way, scraping his beak now and again to wet it. Guys, now our little seagull is really starving because he hadn't had any kind of food in the last nightfall, and he had only one thing in his mind: to drag the attention of his parents. So guys, he actually went to a particular place, stood there in one leg, hid his other leg in between his wings, and closed his eyes and pretended to fall asleep, so that someone will look at him. Oh my God, he is tired, he is fainting down. Unfortunately, no one cared, no one minded. He was looking at his brothers. His brothers were taking a rest. His father was too much beauty conscious. He was preening his feathers. And his mother. Mothers are just like angels. They always have a look upon their children. So here in the story also, the seagull's mother was the only one who was looking at her child. But his mother had some other plans. She took a piece of fish, tore it into pieces, and started scraping her beaks on the side of the rock. The sight of food actually maddened the young seagull, who was starving. Ga ga ga, he cried, begging her to bring him some food. Ga kol ah, she screamed back derisively. But he kept calling plaintively, and after a minute or so, he uttered a joyful scream. His mother had picked up a piece of fish and was flying across to him with it. He leaned out eagerly, tapping the rock with his feet, trying to get nearer to her as she flew across. But when she was just opposite to him, she halted, her wings motionless, the piece of fish in her beak almost within the reach of his beak. He waited a moment in surprise, wondering why she did not come nearer. And then, maddened by hunger, he dived at the fish. With a loud scream, he fell outwards and downwards into space. Then a monstrous terror seized him and his heart stood still. He could hear nothing, but it only lasted a minute. The next moment he felt his wings spread outwards. The wind rushed against his breast feathers, then under his stomach and against his wings. He could feel the tip of his wings cutting through the air. He was not falling headlong now. He was soaring gradually downwards and outwards. He was no longer afraid. He just felt a bit dizzy. Then he flapped his wings once and he soared upwards. Ga ga ga, ga ga ga, ga kol ah. His mother swooped past him, her wings making a loud noise. He answered her with another scream. Then his father flew over him screaming. He saw his two brothers and his sister flying around him, curveting and banking and soaring and diving. Maddened by the sight of food, the little seagull started begging for food. And understanding her plans worked, the mother seagull took a piece of fish and started flying towards him. And at a particular place, she halted, she stopped. It was just a small reach out of the young seagull's beak. And the young seagull, who was really starving and he was maddened by the sight of food, and he just dived for the piece of fish. Unfortunately, or fortunately, you can say, he just fell down. He was falling down towards the sea, downwards. And that terror, that monstrous terror of falling down was actually seizing him. But unknowingly, his wings, they unfurled and he started flapping the wings. And for a moment, he actually started flying. By seeing the youngest child flying, his mother, father and the siblings, they came around him and they started shrieking. They started making a sound, maybe a sound of happiness. They started making it and they were appreciating it. Then he completely forgot that he had not always been able to fly, and commended himself to dive and soar and curve, shrieking shrilly. He was near the sea now, flying straight over it, facing straight out over the ocean. He saw a vast green sea beneath him, with little ridges moving over it, and he turned his beak sideways and cawed amusedly. His parents and his brothers and sister had landed on this green flooring ahead of him. They were beckoning to him, calling shrilly. He dropped his legs to stand on the green sea. His legs sank into it. He screamed with fright and attempted to rise again, flapping his wings. But he was tired and weak with hunger, and he could not rise, exhausted by the strange exercise. His feet sank into the green sea, and then his belly touched it, and he sank no farther. He was floating on it, and around him his family was screaming, praising him, and their beaks were offering him scraps of dogfish. He had made his first flight. We know that our young seagull started flying. He was flying downwards. His intention was to land over the vast expansion of sea. Second by second, he was getting nearer and nearer to the vast expansion of sea, the green sea. He was about to land over the sea, but as soon as his feet touched the sea, they began to sink down. So he became really afraid. So he flapped his wings again to rise up. But he was completely exhausted. He was completely tired. Reason was two. One, it was a strange exercise for him. Flying was a strange exercise for him. Second one, starving. He was absolutely starving. And he tried it again, but he couldn't. But he was going downwards. As soon as his belly touched the water, he was not sinking down, but he was floating. As he was floating, every one of his family, they came around him and landed over the green vast expansion of sea. And they were appreciating him, they were sharing food to him, especially they were giving scraps of dogfish. They were offering, they were giving as gift maybe. Because they all became happy. And this is how he made his first flight. Always our success won't be guaranteed before we try it. We have to understand our strength. Just like the young seagull, we all have our own wings, our strength, our potentials. We need to understand it. Parents, they always encourage us to do whatever we are scared of. Here, the story also. The young seagull was encouraged in a different way, of course, but he was encouraged by his mother. And once I heard one dialogue from a Hindi film. It's like this.
जिंदगी में कुछ बनना हो, कुछ हासिल करना हो, कुछ जीतना हो, तो हमेशा अपने दिल की सुनो. और अगर दिल से जवाब ना आए, तो अपनी आंखें बंद करके अपनी माँ और पापा का नाम लेना. फिर देखना, हर मुश्किल आसान हो जाएगी. तुम हर मंजिल पा सकोगे. जीत तुम्हारी होगी, सिर्फ तुम्हारी.
It means if you want to win something, if you want to be successful, you have to understand your potential. You have to listen to yourself. Then also, if you are not getting an answer, just think about your parents. Of course, obviously, every problems, every difficulties in your life will be solved. And I love that dialogue. Hope you all enjoy it. Read the lesson again. If you come across any kind of difficulties and queries, feel free to comment below. And thank you, and stay at home, stay safe.